of, we have team meals before the games and just trying to make it fun for the kids to keep them out. So
yeah, thanks for sharing that. And before we get off this topic of players, you got to give me two names for linemen. Those guys are all backs. They're all spin backs. Give me some love.
Yeah, see, obviously you can tell I'm not the line coach. In the 7th grade, he struggled at first, but Owen Moore, the center, he's our only center for 7th grade, and the kid really does a good job, and he's getting better week after week. I know sometimes he's hard on himself because he will have a bad snap here or there, but does a really good job. On the 8th grade, a new kid named Memphis Yeager, who this is his first year out for football, and the kid's really adapting. He plays quick guard for us, but has really stepped up, taken on the game, and just a major asset to the team. So Devin Foster in the 7th grade, big kid, plays our strong tackle. Just we get everything out of him we can. He's a very big boy. But, no, I know Coach Jensen's got some good kids coming once again, and I'm excited to watch them, through high school too. That's what's fun about our job is we get them for 2 years, and then we get to watch them for 4. So.
Yeah. Well, and you do a great job with the kids. Thanks for all you do. Me and Herky, we're rooting for you. So congrats, and thanks for being on the program with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Alan. Alan was a last-second addition. I texted him on my way home from the Pekin game last night at about 10 o'clock, so appreciate Alan taking the time to come in this morning. You're good to go, Alan. We've got Coach Jensen coming in next. Before we get to Coach Jensen, we do thank Keokuk County Hospital and Clinics for always sponsoring our Athlete of the Week. This week's Athlete of the Week comes from HLVTC. Now, they haven't had a ton of success as far as wins and losses go, but I tell you what, Kale Weiskopf has been tearing it up for the Warriors. So congratulations to Kale Weiskopf, HLVTC Football, our Athlete of the Week, as voted on by our viewers here on Steve Shetler Media. And then our Team of the Week, brought to us by Kelly Style, State Farm, and Oskaloosa, is the Albia Girls Cross Country Team. So congratulations. I think that's the first Albia winner we've had on either the Athlete or Team of the Week. So Albia Girls Cross Country, our Kelly Style, State Farm Team of the Week, and Kale Weiskopf from HLVTC Football, our Athlete of the Week. And again, as always, we will throw out a question asking for nominations coming up tomorrow on my Facebook page. Make sure if you want your worthy athlete or team to be nominated, to be one of our nominees, to get those nominations in. Hey, we are a Brothers Market where savings are made simple. Go to shopbrothersmarket.com, get digital coupons, earn rewards, get the deal of the week, shopping deals, and much more at shopbrothersmarket.com. You can also get that app. It is a smart way to shop. Brothers Market here in Sigourney, our host venue and our sponsor for the sports section. Let's go back to Andy McGuire, Herky, and Coach Jared Jensen. Guys, take it away.
Yeah, you announced Herky, and I was just trying to think of who the little Husker guy. Herbie.
We need Herbie over here.
Yeah, Herbie the hayseed, Herbie the Husker, whatever his name is. Coach, SK goes to 2-1 on the season. Big win last night at Mid-Prairie. How do you feel about that win?
I think it wasn't a pretty win, but it's probably one of the more proud wins that I've been a part of. And we knew going into it was going to be a battle. I mean, it always is. They were 0-2, but not an 0-2 football team, and they took us down to the wire, or we essentially took them down to the wire. Got a 6-0 lead, hooked the extra point. They come down and put a score on the board, up 7-6. We go into halftime 7-6. So you didn't play up to your potential that first half, and to know that and know that it's just a 1-point ball game. We just talked, hey, it's 0-0. You win this half, you win the game. And third quarter they put another score up, go up 14-6, and at that point it's you're, as a coach, you're kind of really wondering, like, all right, we're going to see what we're made of. Is that back-breaking moment for us? Are we willing to throw the towel in because things aren't going our way, or are we willing to just step up and find a way? And the kids stepped up and found a way. To put a drive together, march it down and score, go for 2 to tie it up, got them on jump pass, and from there you could kind of feel the tides turn. I know it was still a tie ball game, but I'm not so sure that they didn't think they maybe had it in the bag just as well as they'd slowed us up through the first 3 quarters. Forced a punt. Billy Kindred come in and block that thing. I think John Berg fell on it on the 18 or so, and this is with 2.5 minutes to go, and right then you could just sense it. Our guys knew this was the moment, and this is what they've been waiting for. And 6 plays later, we found a way to put it in the end zone, and we changed a few things at halftime, which helped our run game. I think that second half you saw, okay, hey, here we go. Now we've got it. We started wearing them down, kind of beating them up, really. I mean, there was a lot of guys on their team going in and out just from hard hits or whatnot. But, to find a way in those six plays to put it in the end zone and only leave 32 seconds on the board was huge. I mean, I'm just happy with how our guys responded to the adversity they battled all night. The first half, nothing really went well. I mean, it's not like we weren't doing well. Mid-Prairie's defense just was playing at a really high level. So, to come back and show, realistically, I truly believe it's the effort and work we put in, whether it's all summer in the weight room, our conditioning, functional conditioning with flipping tires and pushing sleds and pulling speed sleds and things like that. You can run up and down the field all you want, but are you really training your body for these moments of both teams are tired, you've been in this situation before, now it's time to take over? And I felt like that's exactly what our kids did.
I couldn't agree more. And, I was trying to come up with, what are we going to dub this game? And I was thinking of words. And there's 2 words that came to mind, of many that we're going to talk about. But 2 words come to mind: special teams. Last night, special teams were huge. Caden Clarahan with the punts. I know he hooked that extra point. That's uncharacteristic of him. But those punts, I just want to talk about Caden Clarahan punting last night and how crucial that was.
It was huge. I mean, I think there was only one that I was like, and it was still a good punt, but he's gained a lot of a lot of experience the last couple of years, and realistically, I guess I can't really say that he's gotten more probably practice experience punting, because last year it seemed like we rarely ever had to punt, but he's continued to get better and better and better. I mean, week 1, I think he had close to a 50-some yarder. Week 2 comes back and has a 60-yarder. If we could find that consistency, he may be punting down in Georgia too. But he's again kind of self-taught. His brother learned how to kick, kind of taught Caden, worked with Lou as well, and just finding that guy to punt, that is huge. Like if you can flip the field, which when we punt, it's a lot of coaches or teams might be upset that we have to punt. All right, we're on the 30. That's fine. Well, they're going to get the ball at about the 20 and really have to march the field. So having that as an asset, absolutely helps the offense and defense. But he's just a player. I think anything he does, he finds what he's good at, and he really excels at those things. And I think kicking and punting he's really good at. He's a phenomenal blocking back for us, and as well as a linebacker. So kind of a jack of all trades, really.
Yeah. It's interesting you say he's self-taught. I heard a rumor that Tim Clarahan maybe was a pretty good soccer player back in his day, but maybe that's just rumor at this point. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Maybe we can ask Tim at some point in time. But along those lines of special teams, that play, Billy Kindred blocking that punt. Billy had a night last night. Billy was
He's
your
a
leading
player.
tackler. I glanced at the stats, but that one jumped out at me, and I was watching him a lot of the night last night, and that dude was playing with his hair on fire all night long, as were many others, but that was a crucial point in the game. Can you talk about that block punt and what that meant for momentum?
Well, I mean, it was obviously probably the biggest play of the game. they force us to punt. Who knows what happens? We take the ball on our side of the field, and do we put a drive together in that 2-minute span, and have the ability to go score? Who knows? It might have turned into an overtime game, but I think they called the punt block the first punt of the game, and it seemed like every other time they punted, I felt, they were talking, go for the block, go for the block. I'm like, they're almost in position where it's kind of in that area where you could pull a fake, and just play stick, let's get a return. And I think at that moment, I didn't even hear it over the headset. It was just probably, I'm not going to say anything so Jensen doesn't tell me no, and but I've got faith in whatever those guys are calling, and to get that block in that fashion. At that moment, it just all the stars aligned, and our guys made a play when they had to, and that's kind of what we told them. All 11, you got to be feeling like you're the one that's going to make the play the entire second half. And again, I think at defensive end, and Billy, he's so tall, doesn't have a bunch, much width necessarily as a lineman, but he's just so athletic. Whether he's pulling a guard, pulling and trapping, running the funnel, playing defensive end, he stretched sideline to sideline quite a bit, and our other ends did too, and kind of kept that quarterback at bay at times, or at least getting some pressure in his face. So, he's kind of a three-facet guy as well: offense, defense, special teams. Go make a play for us, because we know that's the kind of guy you are.
Yeah, I was watching Billy. I was watching Jace Kalupa. You got Jace coming up on rush end. You got Jace dropping back at linebacker. You got Billy on the end. You're rotating guys around, and my head's spinning. I'm like, where are we at here? What's going on? It's a blessing to see you guys be able to plug so many different pieces in. Another guy I was watching last night was Ashton Schwab. That dude has to have a couple of Bone Crusher stickers on his helmet after last night, because that guy was laying some lumber down, but you didn't even have him in the second half.
I think we lost him after the first quarter. And that's what I love about this group is again, we talked last week, we don't have anybody at certain spots that's just head and shoulders above the rest, so we have that ability to kind of rotate guys in. And we do a lot in practice with Jace has played linebacker. Okay, we put him up at rush end this year. We're just really short with upperclassmen linebackers, so we've got guys playing, that's their second spot, and so that's an easy fit for him to drop back. He's at least accustomed to it, but Schwab, I'm drawing something on the board before we leave at 4:45 to talk to the DBs about, and Ashton comes in and walks by, "Hey coach," and I look down and his hand's bleeding, his finger's bleeding. I'm like, "Geez, what'd you do?" "Oh, I cut my finger on the door." "Okay, well, no big deal. Get it cleaned." And that thing did not quit bleeding. I think it stopped for a while, and then once we got out in the game, it was like full-fledged blood everywhere. He come off. We'd wrapped it and taped it and did this and that, and he came off, and his finger was completely red in his white glove. So Eric, our trainer, was working with him, trying to get it stopped. Had it stopped. Ashton went back out there, but any contact he made, it would split it back open. So he ended up having to go to the hospital, and just apparently you can only stitch for up to a certain amount of time, and at that almost a 4-hour window, and so he got there. Luckily they glued it back down and got it stopped and whatnot. But he's a player. And I think that's a testament also to the other guys on the team. We had a two-way starter that played the first quarter and then had to go out. And okay, we got new bodies. Let's fill them in. Down a linebacker, we're already short, so we saw Jason there quite a bit. Jacob Live stepped in and played some middle backer. He's been an outside backer as well, and stepped in and really did a good job for us. Caden's playing on both sides of the ball. He's a linebacker, so there's times he needs to get off, and then Jace will help drop back for that. We kind of left Jacob in. He did a good job at Mike, so we just knew, like, okay, hey, Will's the only spot we got to cover at the linebacker position. D-line, we've got we've got probably 4 ends we could put out that we typically put out there. Probably 4 to 5 interior guys. So, that's just kind of the name of the game. Build your depth. Use the guys you have. Don't be afraid to rotate, and I think that's definitely a benefit for us. Kind of the same thing with offense. Just we've got some backs, and to be able to use those fresh legs when guys need breaks is just huge. So I think across the board, just building that depth has helped us win last game.
A gritty win. I thought it was one of the gutsiest performances that I've seen SK put up. It reminded me a bit of that Pleasantville game last year where it didn't seem like a lot was going right most of the game, but you just found a way to do it. Yep. And those Mid-Prairie boys, they were loud. I mean, they were chatting, they were chirping, and they thought they had that game won. Is the way that I felt about it. And one thing about the SK crowd is you're not deafened by the SK crowd, but there is a certain moxie, there's a certain swagger about this program, and I thought that's what came through last night for me that rang through the loudest was this group is never, ever going to give up. That PCM game was rough. They didn't give up. Nope. Mediapolis, they had some adversity at the front side of that game. They did not give up. In this Mid-Prairie game, we've beat them. They wanted the win. It was their homecoming last night, which I want to talk about that in a second. And then they came out in the second half, got that punt block, punched it in, and they had a bunch of Golden Hawks with hands on their hips looking like what just happened to us is the way that I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just – and I think not necessarily anything we do per se as coaches, but I think that the parents that have been in the program understand the mentality of how we work. The kids understand and buy into the mentality of how we work, and it's a never give up. That's why you play the game. You've seen professional games, you've seen college games that one team looks like the first half they're just going to walk away with it, and that second half things get changed, and that the other team finds a way to come back, and really that's what it is. That's why you play the game, and that's why you treat every down as it's the most important down in the game. You treat your job like it's the most important job, on that specific play. And, if you've got that mentality and you've got everybody on the field playing that way, typically things are going to work out. But I just think our mental capacity to handle when stuff hits the fan, we're primed for that. Physically, we're primed for those type of games, and really, I felt like we really, really started wearing them out, and that's what we do and why we do it, you're gonna get everybody's best shot. It could be the first series that they give you their best shot. It could be the first half. It could be 3 quarters. Okay, but at some point, we know we're gonna take control of that game, and last night it just took into the fourth quarter to do so.
Yeah. And what do you attribute, that mental capacity to, and as far as, just the way that the kids handle themselves on the field? And it isn't a one-year thing. We've seen that this year. We saw it last year. I think we've seen it for 5 years solid now, probably longer, where our guys are confident. I'm not saying that they don't chirp out there, because I'm sure a comment gets made here or there. Any field of competition, you're going to have that. But I feel like that Mid-Prairie game, we hear more from the opposite sideline than what we hear out of our sideline, and these boys let their play do the talking for the most part. Is that a community thing? Is that a coaching thing? Is that a kid thing? What is that is the discernible difference between those two programs at this point?
I think maybe a little bit of a combination of both, but I think the leadership within the program, they set that tone. Our kids know we're not going to allow it. When we see other teams or other kids acting that way, it absolutely tears us up and upsets us. And so our kids understand you're out here to play. You don't have to talk to anybody. You go let your play talk for you. And I think it's just the standard of being a quality program. You look at any other quality program out there, they don't have the hard heads that are doing stupid things out there to jeopardize their team, and I think that's kind of the tone we set with our guys. That there's no place for that. Keep it to yourself. And if you need to say something, you better just go make up for it in the next play rather than saying something. And you know, because that fuels the fire, you know, and that's what kids don't understand. You want to talk trash, you want to say this, you want to say that. That that internal burn inside of you. You want to take your game up to another level and go make it happen. And you know, I would rather not give that material to the other team. You know, let them be them. If they're going to be jerks, that's fine. And I'm not saying Mid Prairie was jerks. I'm just saying in general, if you've got kids out there that are being jerks, let them be. It'll get taken care of one way or the other.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. You mentioned conditioning, flipping tires, doing all of those things to get your team ready for it. This is my opinion. I thought last year we saw that in that Mid Prairie game where they were a hard-nosed football team. They went hard. They were big dudes, strong, physical dudes. But at the end of the game, I felt they ran out of gas. And I felt the same thing happened last night where they just could not hang with what SK's conditioning was. Did you see it that way? And how much do you attribute to what you guys put in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, the first half, and even at the end of the first half, you could see it. You know, and our guys are coming off saying they're about done. They're getting close, and you know, it seemed like every time they were coming off and saying that, there was something, whether it was an injury timeout or we got to halftime or quarter or whatever the case may be. So they kind of got that rest when they needed, come back out, you know, fighting and you know, ready to go. But I do feel like that you know, going into the fourth quarter, like they're on their heels. Every time we get off to go on a down block, that guy's getting driven. Earlier in the game, he was still right on that line of scrimmage or fighting through. And you know, I think it just, if you're going to be successful, it's not like football's not like any other sport, like, you know, just basketball per se. I think it's truly important that you are big, strong, and fast, but the physicality of basketball is not there. Physicality of football is what football is built around, and if you're not building your body to be the most physical athlete you can be, you know, injury prevention. You know, we didn't really have many injuries last night, week 2, week 1. A few things here and there, but I think the bodies are primed for the physicality of football through, you know, 3 days a week in the summer, you know, whether it's lifting, speed and agility, you know, field work, twice a week during the school year. Just staying consistent in the weight room is a huge thing for the benefit of you as an athlete. And I think, you know, times are changing. I think people are seeing that more. It used to be a lot of parents were like, well, you know, we didn't lift, you know. Times have completely changed. If you're not doing this as part of, you know, whether it's whatever sport or you just being an athlete in general, if you're not training your body, you're not going to be successful, because those kids that are maybe average, that have trained and trained and trained, they're going to surpass a guy that is good and is unwilling to put his body through that and mind through that. So, you know, I think that weight room and you know, all the other conditioning type stuff, you know, builds that mental side. Yes, you're getting physically stronger, but when you're testing your mental side, whether it's with weight, whether it's with flipping, whether it's just conditioning in general, when you're training your mind to be in those situations, your mental capacity keeps going up and up and up and up. And you know, I think that's one thing that we've got, is the mental capacity. Our guys just get it. You know, this is part of the process of success. You know, so we don't take that stuff lightly.
So you're 2-1 after you go through a gauntlet non-district schedule here. How do you feel about that 2-1? Obviously, you're not happy with the one loss. I think it's justified. PCM is a phenomenal program. Those dudes are on another level,
They're
in my
elite.
opinion. Did you expect to be 2-1 at this point? What were your expectations coming into the season, looking at that front end of your schedule?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's, you know, just you always hope, but you know, realistically, you just look at what's in front of you. I mean, we had the potential, you know, I felt, to be 3-0. We knew that first game we would have to play lights out to earn that victory, and obviously I truly feel like PCM's an elite football team at this point, especially this early in the season. You know, but we knew Mediapolis was kind of in our situation. Lost a lot of talented players. Now it's what depth have you built, the previous year that can help, help that squad, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, jumping up from maybe playing a JV schedule with those guys to now you're in on the varsity schedule. And, I felt confident in that, going into MIPO, but it's always been a battle, but we kind of have their number the last few years. I think prior to playing, they'd won, 2 of the last 5, and we'd won 3 of the last 5. So I felt confident that one. This one scared me a little bit, from last year's game, knowing what they returned from last year, skill-wise, running back-wise, quarterback, defensively. This was one of those games where I knew, like, we've got to really come to play, because these guys, it wasn't the team of last year that hurt us. It was these guys are still here. What can we do to slow them up from what we saw last year? And I felt like we did a pretty good job stopping the run game with their running back that kind of ran all over us last year. I think our pass defense was much better this year, and that's all stuff we focused on all week long. They hurt us in some different fashions last year in the pass game. We knew we couldn't allow it. We had to kind of mix up a little bit of what we do defensively in the back end, just to be able to cover a lot of whether it's the wheel routes or switch routes and things like that, where, okay, whether it's the zone side, I know this. If we hit this depth, I know this is my guy, and that's kind of what caught us last year. And so we had them kind of reading too, which to me was a little bit uneasy, because okay, I know I've got this deep quarter, but if I see a post normally, I know I'm running with that. But we just kind of had to stay set and allow our guys to just read what was coming in front of them and not really cross over into that other quarter. And they did. I thought they did a pretty good job. Our linebackers did a good job running with the wheel when they needed to. Back out wheel was a killer for us last year. We had that covered most of the night. So I think the guys stepped up to the challenge. Going into it, I didn't know if we were fully mentally prepared with all the adaptations we may have made in the defensive backfield. But, we got a pretty good group back there that really, focused on what they needed to achieve, and I felt like they did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, gosh, I could spend, the next 3 hours just breaking this game down with you, because there are so many cool things about this game. If you're a football fan, I don't care what team you want to root for. If you watched that game last night, that is a fun game to watch. It's not the highest scoring thing, but boy, it was something to watch, something to behold. Next week's homecoming, you spoiled Mid-Prairie's homecoming last night. Just want to talk about scheduling that homecoming game. It seems early to me, and I'm not the schedule. I've never done it. I've never been in these discussions. But what thought process goes into how do you pick a homecoming game?
Well, we've had some early ones like years ago. It feels like in the middle or the heartbeat of our schedule, typically we've had Pella Christian on one of those games, or another team that is a really quality program. And I feel like with the homecoming week, with the distractions, things like that, those are not the games you want to put a quality team on the schedule for. So we the last few years it has been like week 7 maybe, but that's kind of because of whether it was Pleasantville in the middle, Pella Christian in the middle last year. We wanted to stay away from that. Well, okay, we're coming back off a 2-game stretch. We have a home game. It's against a program that's still trying to kind of rebuild from a couple years ago. And we just felt like that was the right fit for us for our homecoming game. And so it's early, which I feel like it'll be a good thing. It's always a week that's a little bit stressful for coaches just because of all the activities going on, and is your team mentally prepared, and get it out of the way earlier. A little nicer weather for everybody to kind of celebrate, and but like last night, if I was probably Mid-Prairie, I probably wouldn't have scheduled us for homecoming, but I mean, they probably have to do what they got to do as well, and so we typically want to stay away from the solid teams and just find someone that's in kind of the rebuild, and it's always fun a lot of times in those games. Your younger kids get out and get to show their face on the field as well. So I think that's a huge night for homecoming. Always a lot of people there, and to hopefully try to get the majority of the guys on the team out there on a Friday night is the goal.
Yeah, I know that you try not to schedule, one of these district title type games, just because of all the distraction through the week. I was really surprised to see Mid-Prairie schedule homecoming on a non-district. I heard some comments from some fans that maybe that was a sign of disrespect. Did you take it that way?
I mean, looking at it, I can see why. I mean, I think that's that had come across in practice this week. I mean, whether it's they either truly felt like they were just going to beat us, or maybe it was just an administrative decision, and that's just the where it fell, and that's who they were going to go with. And I don't know. I have a lot of respect for their coaching staff. We see each other down at the Southeast Iowa Coaches Clinic every year, and we'll talk. I mean, I don't think necessarily they were trying to be disrespectful in that, but I think that's some bulletin board material you can use, and obviously we use that. Why they choose it, how they chose it, I don't really know, but it is what it is, and maybe it worked in our favor. So I guess we'll never know that because I'm not willing to ask, but
Well, it's none of our business, of one, and two, does it really matter at this point? So
Nope.
It's all good. So we're going to wrap this thing up with everyone's favorite segment, Aaron Asks. I can't forget this.
And we have an intro.
Oh, there we go. This
Let's
is
hit
something
the
new.
intro. Aaron Asks. I made that specifically for Aaron. Aaron Asks. So Aaron gets to ask. She got her special intro, which was sung by me, by the way.
It was phenomenal, Steve. You haven't met your true calling sitting on that side of things
Singing
here.
jingles.
Yeah. Okay, so for those that don't know, Erin is my wife, and during the first game, we were going to come on and do this thing, and she says, why don't we ask the questions that the moms want to hear?
Yep.
And I said, okay, shoot. You give me the question, and I'll ask Coach whatever you ask me, within reason, of course. I'm
Yes.
going to protect you, Coach.
Yes,
We can't step out of bounds
Thank
here.
you.
I won't ask you anything that I wouldn't want to answer as a coach. So here we go. Aaron asks, how do you decide who plays what position? And then second part of it, can this change mid-season, or once the positions are set, are they set for the entire year?
Typically coming in as young kids, we kind of let them gravitate towards where they want to play. Because if you instantly get a kid coming in as a ninth grader and he played this position from fifth grade up, and then you're just like, hey, we're going to move you here. That could kind of push them away a little bit. We kind of let them go and let them kind of figure things out themselves. Hey, there might be a position with three guys in it. Well, hey, I feel like I could go do that. I'm going to go jump over and start working that position. So, and that's kind of in the summer. Once we get to camp, typically we have that figured out. Like when we go to Simpson camp, you've been in a spot and you've worked and learned and progressed in that area. That way, when we do go to Simpson camp, you're not just learning on the run. So. But there's situations where we do say, hey, we feel like we could use you in this spot. Let's move you over there, start working you there. I think it's always ever changing. I think we've got a really defensive back wise, linebacker wise. Those guys are, whether it's playing inside backer. I mean, we've got a corner that plays linebacker. We've got a safety that plays corner. I mean, you just try to fill those spots. And build that depth. But I don't think anything's ever set in stone. Injuries happen. Guys are forced to be moved. But we're not just moving guys here and there just because But ultimately the kids kind of gravitate towards where they feel like they could be most successful. And then as we progress, if we feel like some kid could slide over and play this spot, we'll talk to them, slide them over and play that spot. And, so nothing's really ever set. We try to put our depth chart together. And biggest thing is we want to try to get equal amount of depth throughout the team. If you've got 16 wing backs and 2 tailbacks, well, guess what? Some of you wing backs got to go play tailback. So, you just try to, depending on the position, try to have that even depth, which I think right now, just about across the board, there's a few spots we've maybe only have about 3 guys, but we've got 4 to 5 guys at about every position group. So we're pretty well spaced out with our guys there.
Yeah. And then we're going to transition into rapid fire segment again. We did this last week on what is your favorite food, that sort of thing. So I think Aaron's trying to spin this. We're going to get everyone else to know Coach Jensen a little bit better. So here we go. Rapid fire question. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Hoodie or crew neck?
Hoodie.
Salty or sweet?
A combination of both.
Stones or the Beatles?
Stones.
Hit the snooze button or wake up with the alarm?
Well, I typically have 2 alarms set. The first one's just the wake-up call. The second one's get up.
All right. That was rapid fire, and I have one question to wrap this thing up. Is Tupac actually dead?
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yep, he gone.
You heard it here.
Hey, I got one thing, Coach.
Yep.
I know you're a fan of Clint Dye and his pictures and
Absolutely.
videos. Of course, we've got him working for Steve Shetler Media this fall. Just your quick general thoughts on Clint and his work.
I honestly, I think one of the best in the business. He's done a tremendous job covering us. I mean, we've never had and we've had some parents do photos and things like that, but it's an art thing to him, and I think he does a phenomenal job. His write-ups are always on point. I mean, he's calling to get questions, answers, things like that. So very, very in tune and in depth with what he does in his job. And I think, you look at what he does on his Facebook page. The wrestling, goes to a ton of wrestling events, professional wrestling, and does photos there. I know he was doing kind of the same thing as he was doing for us the past few years with the team down in Missouri. So I think there's a lot of people that understand how good he is at what he does, and I'm just happy we've got him. I think he's brought a ton to us as a team, and then just our community and our communities in general, just with the paper write-ups, now your Steve Shetler write-ups, and just all the photography he's done for us.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, we're glad to have Clint on board this year on Steve Shetler Media. So we'll be putting up his pictures, videos, and his article a little bit later on this weekend. So, yeah. Is that it for today?
That's all I have. Thanks, Coach.
Go Big Red. So we thank – no. That's why we've got Herky looming in the background.
Okay.
We do thank Coach Jensen. We thank Coach Sellers and Coach Weber from Pekin Football for being on today's our broadcast from Brothers Market here with the sports section here on Steve Shetler Media. Tune in next week. We'll do it again, 8 a.m. right here on Steve Shetler Media.